Welcome to Mondays live at 3 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are new here, tell me where you're from. I'd love to hear it. If you're coming back, welcome back. So excited to see y'all there. Rachel, Deanne, Hannah, Jillian, hello, welcome. My name is Natalie and I run True Alignment Academy, where I am on a mission to heal the healers, because I know your hands touch other hands and heal the world, right? And so, but it all starts with you and investing in yourself and showing up for yourself. So today we're going to talk about our belief systems, why they're keeping us stuck, and what to do about it. If you're here live, please, thank you, put a hashtag live. And if you're here for the replay, I'd love to hear that as well. So hashtag replay. So if you haven't watched my first live, in order to understand our belief systems, there's a couple of other things that you have to understand about the brain and how it works. Go back and watch that first live. But the most important thing is understanding how we take on information. So we think we take on information with our eyes. It goes to our frontal lobe, which is our thinking brain, and then it gets stored into our unconscious mind as a memory. But that is not what happens at all. What happens is we take on information with our eyes, it bypasses the frontal lobe, and it goes straight into the unconscious. And from there, it gets filtered into what's called a reticular activating system. And in that reticular activating system, it holds all our previous experiences, our trauma, all of our programming, so parental programming, religious programming, social, environmental, all of that programming, our belief systems. And then from that, it filters through all of that, deletes, generalizes, and distorts based on what all of that says. And then that picture, can y'all hear the lawn man? Or can you still hear me okay? It gets filtered through all of that. And then from there, that's what's presented to our frontal lobe. That distorted picture is actually what comes to our conscious mind. And that is how we make our decisions. So what is it? What are these beliefs? Well, I can tell you that there's a couple things in the reticular activating that are very important. It's our influences and the events in our life, right? Because in the first live, we talked about what is trauma. It's not the actual event, as traumatic as that may be. What happens is it's a deep emotion that's coupled with an event or an influence, which is a person or something that's an event. And then from that, we decide who we are. It's what's stored in our body after that event. And so we also have our emotions in our reticular activating system. And I have put the whiteboard to rest behind me. And so I'm going to go with a different technique today for those visual learners. Let me share my screen. So we have in our unconscious mind, we have what's called gestalts, and they're like bags, right? And this is where the term baggage comes from. You know, they have a lot of baggage, right? And so in our gestalts, in these bags is where we hold our emotions. So we have one for anger, we have one for sadness and hurt, one for fear and anxiety, and one for guilt. And what happens is they start to fill up. So at 2 years old, mom makes you angry, and that event is imprinted and the bag fills up, right? And you have this imprint. And then At 10 years old, you get in a fight with a kid on the playground and your gestalt fills up a little bit more, right? And it's imprinted. And then at 21 years old, you break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend and you have a bad fight. And that event, coupled with that deep emotion of anger, gets imprinted once again, and the bag fills up. And then at 30 years old, you end up getting a divorce and the bag fills up again. And then you lose your job. Your bag is full. Your gestalt is all the way full. So what happens when your anger gestalt fills all the way up? You hit rage. When your gestalts are full, you go one of two ways, or both. If you tend to push your emotions down, which as a nurse, I can tell you that was the way that I was taught. I didn't know that there was any other way because my emotions weren't safe. I didn't have room or time to feel them, right? 30-second hallway in between one code and the patient that needs pain medicine. It wasn't safe to feel those emotions. So I pushed them down and I pushed them down and I pushed them down. And so when this got full, which for me, most of us have full gestalts by the time we're 18. I can tell you mine was probably somewhere between 6 and 7 years old. I was operating with these full gestalts. So you either get sick. Again, that's where autoimmune disorders come in. Trauma lives in the cell. This affects us on a cellular level, right? Or you go into these ineffective emotions where when you have these high emotions, your frontal lobe shuts down, you're in fight or flight. And so we end up not having our logical brain, right? This is when we just snap. People are like, I don't know what happened. And so in these ineffective emotions, anger turns to rage, sadness turns into depression, fear turns into anxiety, and guilt turns into shame. And this is why, like I said last week, you are not broken. You are not broken. This is just how the brain works, right? This is just how the brain works. So you may feel depressed, but your diagnosis of depression is not you. This is just how the brain works. And there's hope. There's hope for you because your gestalts are just full. So this is how belief systems are created. So we have our influences. Influences are the people in our life that we come into contact with, especially our parents on a very intimate level, right? So we have dad, we have mom, partner, and then any abuse that you may have suffered. And then we have our emotions, the anger, sadness, fear, and guilt and shame. Okay, so what happens is one day dad makes you angry. Again, this is imprinted, right? And then dad hurt your feelings, another imprint. And then mom makes you angry. Again, it's imprinted. Mom also hurts your feelings, makes you sad, right? Dad scares you. And then you made bad grades, so you get some guilt and shame from dad. Mom goes into the hospital. You've got that fear going on there, another imprint. And then something happens with mom where you feel guilt and shame. You didn't live up to her expectations. And then your partner makes you angry, right? And whatever abuse you had makes you angry, another imprint, right? And on, so on and so forth, right? Each one of these is an imprint in our life. And so what happens is that we start creating belief systems based on the influence coupled with the deep emotion. This is when we decide something about our life in that moment that then creates the lens in which we view our world and create our world. I'm unworthy, right? I'm unlovable. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I'm dumb. Money is evil. I hate myself. I'm not good enough. All of these belief systems, this is what is held in our reticular activating system. It's like a chart. It looks like, right? A grid. This is what comes through our eyes. And that picture that comes through our eyes is then filtered through all of this grid. And it deletes, generalizes, and distorts to match what is in this grid. So one of my core beliefs was that I was unlovable. So if someone started to show me love, it went through this grid and it deleted all of that. I never could receive, right? And so your life, thank you guys. Yeah, I figured for our visual learners, it's a little nicer than my little whiteboard. So our life, we create our life to match what our belief systems are. And this is why we continue to repeat the patterns, because guess what? In our unconscious mind, what is not right is not safe. So if you're saying to yourself, I continue to get in the same relationships, I don't know how, but I attract the guy or the girl that just treats me like crap, right? Over and over and over. Or they always cheat on me. I don't know why. Like, of all the people in the room, I pick out the worst, right? Or every single job I take, I think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get better. And I always end up having the worst boss. Or I can't quit yelling at my children, right? Or no matter how much I try to be successful, I continue to hit the wall. I live paycheck to paycheck and I can't understand why I can't get out of this debt and this chaos, because guys, that's what we create. Talking to myself too here. I'm telling you, how many years did I sabotage and create chaos so that in my life, I could prove these belief systems true? And this is happening on an unconscious level. Because what do we want so deep inside? But we continue to create the same patterns. I'll tell you, one of my biggest one was people aren't safe. People aren't safe. So what did I continue to do? As bad as I wanted to, as much as I needed connection, because guess what? That's a core need. As much as I desired connection, I continued to sabotage friendships and relationships and ended up in isolation over and over and over, and created that over and over and over again. Why? Because my unconscious mind says people aren't safe. And so I continued to end up alone. When is enough enough? When is enough enough? In order to heal and in order to change these belief systems, we have to create a state of healing. And it starts with our influences. Because if we try to change these belief systems without going back to heal the influences, then the belief systems are going to continue to stick. Because what created them in the first place was never dealt with. Right? If we have to heal the influences and the emotions before we ever get to the belief system, or we'll continue these patterns over and over again, creating the same chaos over and over in our lives. and the same chaos that our parents created over and over. Because I will tell you, some of these belief systems are passed down. A lot of mine were passed down. And I was like, I'm never going to be like my parents. I'm never going to create that environment for my kids. Well, guess what? I did, because it lived in my unconscious mind. And my unconscious mind has to be right in order to be safe. And so I continued to create that environment until enough was enough. And I will tell you, when I said that, I was all alone. I had beat my head against the wall enough. My bank account said it. I was very much at a bottom, at my bottom. And then I paid 10 grand to get my healing and my whole life transformed. But to each and every one of you, you have to know when enough is enough. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and know when is enough enough. I will tell you what's on the other side is a freedom that is, I have no words to even describe. I thought I knew what freedom was. And this gives you the ultimate freedom, this state of healing, because healing is lifelong, guys. I am still creating and maintaining this state of healing. But I no longer live in the chaos. I don't have to anymore, because I've taken those belief systems and they are no longer true, and they will never be true again. And I've created my own safe space. And I will tell you, one of the biggest things that these belief patterns do in creating these patterns over and over again, and creating the environment to say, yes, sure, I'm unlovable, right? I've pushed everybody around me away. Other people aren't safe. And was I right? At the end of the day, sure, I could have been right that people weren't safe, but I created this situation of isolation and chaos. No one's winning in that situation. And I'll tell you, Jack, it's why you're not a dad. I was terrified to be a mother until I found these tools. And in creating your own healing and in breaking these belief systems and breaking those shackles and those chains from all the belief systems and the programming from your parents and generations passed down, you can be the chain breaker. And it no longer has to go to your kids. You can create generational change. And that's up to you. Continuing in these patterns, the one thing that it does do is it tears up your self-trust. It annihilates it. And I'll tell you, I didn't have a lot to begin with. And without self-trust, the ability to make decisions on your own, play by your own playbook, stand in your own truth, have confidence in your life decisions, it was impossible for me. I didn't trust myself with anything, including the child that I had just had, right? It's terrifying when you don't have any self-trust. But if you choose to heal every piece of you, every time that you show up for yourself and you start to heal every little piece of you, you create your own safe space. You create self-trust that can never be taken away, that can never be broken. And you create a state of healing where I am telling you, you are unstoppable, absolutely unstoppable. And you no longer are chained to the patterns of your past. You have a choice. You get that freedom. And I want this for each and every one of you, but I'm telling you, it is not easy. You have to be ready. You have to be ready. You have to say, yeah, enough is enough. I'm ready to live my life with a permanent change, right? I'm ready to have that freedom. I'm ready to make new patterns that no longer self-sabotage. I'm ready to smile and mean it. Because when our gestalts are full, guess what? There is no room for any of the positive emotions. I can tell you that when I held my son at birth, absolute joy, happiness, peace. But did it last? No, it did not. That was probably one of the only memories I can tell you when I felt absolute joy, until I got my healing and I lowered those gestalts. And now I have emotional availability so that I could fill that space with love that I can accept, because I am lovable and I am worthy. I've changed those belief systems and I can receive that. And now I smile and I mean it. And that feeling is incredible. It is so incredible to operate from a place of overflow, to give love, but it's flowing out of me, right? It's amazing. And I want that for each and every one of you. If you care for other people, can you imagine overflowing and operating out of that space of overflow? This state of healing, guys, it's absolutely life transforming. If you're ready, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and you say, enough is enough, I'm ready. I'm ready for change that actually lasts, that sticks, that changes my whole world. I'm ready to hold joy. I'm ready to hold happiness and peace. I'm ready to take all my masks off and say, this is me, and I'm proud to be me. I stand in my own truth. I make my own decisions, and I am free. If that's you and you're ready to show up and do the work, because there's no other place than right here and right now, and the willingness to show up and do the work, guys. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. Book a call with me. Let's talk. I honor you for showing up today. You've shown up, and that means you want to change. You want to quit creating these patterns, get over these beliefs. All right. Thank you so much for showing up for you, for your family. This affects everyone. I will see you all next Monday, 3 p.m. Central. And y'all have an amazing week. Thank you so much.